We are back with our part 3 of the beginner series, Blender interface, and we're going to talk about the camera setup now and how we view things. Okay, so right now I intentionally made my resolution low. As you can see, my icons are kind of big, so it's easier for you to see them. Okay, and now we're going to take a look at how camera kind of works in Blender, or your working camera, and changing your viewport. I usually just use a perspective shot like this because it's a lot easier for you to see what I'm doing. The screen is big, but you can always change this to a 4 view, which is typical of, let's say, 3ds Max and Softimage back in the day. Okay, so in order to change your viewport, there are several ways. Okay, the easiest one is if you have a numpad on your keyboard. Numpad are those extra numbers on the right side of your full-size keyboard. Most laptops don't have these. Some laptops do. There's some Alienware 17-inch abomination that are so big and bulky and heavy, they actually have a full-size keyboard, which is awesome. Except it'll break your back if you take it with you. Anyway, so let's do the easy part first, which is the numpad. If you have a numpad, you can press numpad 1. Oops, sorry. There we go. Numpad 1 will change your current viewport, full screen viewport, into the front and orthographic. If you remember our first video, this very bottom right here changes perspective to orthographic, right? Orthographic view is flat, meaning there is no perspective. When there's no perspective, meaning there is no shrinking of size of object based on distance. Okay, so if I have Winston right here, so let's take a look first. Let me rotate it back to the way it used to be. Okay, I'm going to take Winston, select all its parts. Okay, minus those, just Winston right here, and let me go to the side viewport here, which is numpad 3. Okay, and then I'm going to duplicate Winston, Shift D to duplicate, and then I'm going to press X to move, Y. That was my mistake. Let me undo. I forgot I'm in the side viewport. Okay, Shift D and then Y. I'm going to go Winston right there. Okay, to the back. Okay, another one. So if we go back here, and as you can see, since we are in a perspective, so I'm going to try and do this one like a front viewport. Okay, but perspective, so I'm going to press numpad 1, front orthographic. I'm going to go perspective. You can see Winston, the other one, in there in the back, small in size because there's perspective. If we take out perspective, look at that one. So even this Winston is at the back. There is no change in size. Okay, so that's what perspective is, and this is what orthographic is. There is no change of size based on distance. So you could easily get confused with this if you're not careful. When you're in orthographic, you're trying to, let's say I select all this, right? And then you didn't really notice you're in the front viewport, but you switched to orthographic, and then you wanted to position Winston, top of Winston right here. You go like, all right, that was easy. Okay, and then we render our camera, because in reality, if we press this button right here, which is numpad 5, there it is. That's reality, folks. Okay, so that's perspective and orthographic view difference. Okay, I'm going to delete Winston right there. So let's go back to our view. Numpad 1 gives you front orthographic. Numpad 5 switches perspective and orthographic. You can also click that button right there to switch. Okay, numpad 3 gives you side viewport, side orthographic. To be specific, it's the right orthographic, right side orthographic. If I press numpad 7, it goes to the top orthographic. Okay, so how do we get the other side of this? So let's go back to 1 first. If you do Control and numpad 1, it shows you the back view orthographic. Okay, If we press number 3 for right orthographic, you probably guess it now, Control 3 gives you the left orthographic view. If you go to 7, which is top, and then you do Control 7, it shows you the bottom. Okay, so that's how we change the cameras using a single full screen view. And if you want to go back to the 3D user perspective, you simply click middle button drag your mouse, and you'll get your orbit camera, and then you can scroll. Okay, all right, so how do we use, if you don't have a numpad, there's another way. Okay, so tilde is the key below the escape key. If you click that, you get this radial menu, and from this one you can change top, back, right, bottom, left, so on and so forth. Okay, so if we click front right here, there it is. If you pick your if you went to your preference and then you want to simulate numpad, because there's that option. So if I go to my preference here, edit preferences, and then let's say you still want to use the numbers, right? So let's see, I think that's on input. Yeah, emulate numpad. If you turn this on, your main 1 to 0 keys will act as the numpad instead. Okay, so if you have a laptop and you want to press numbers, okay, so if you click emulate numpad right there, if I press number 3, okay, I'm using the top 1 to 0 keys right now. Okay, so not the numpad, but it still reports as a numpad because it's emulating it. All right, so there's our perspective, there's our top. All right, and then if you do Control 7, Control 1, you get that one, okay, which is the back. So I'm going to turn that off. I'm not going to be using that, but if you have a laptop, okay, and that's in the preference input, you can emulate it. If let's say you want to keep those, because those 1 through 0 are still useful because we're using those for, let's say, edit mode. Okay, so if I go edit mode right here, the keyboard shortcut to change from point, okay, to edge to are the 1, 2, 3 keys. So you might want to save those for other keyboard shortcut, and then just go with the tilde key and go with right side, front, top, so on and so forth. And of course, view camera is 1, numpad 1, numpad 0, sorry. You can also click this icon right here to do the exact same thing. What is the camera view? Well, this is that physical camera that you have in your scene that's looking at Winston right there. You see it? So this is what gets rendered. What you're seeing right now here is simply the working camera, working view. Okay, this is not going to be recorded, not unless you tell Blender to snap into this viewport and be the active camera. All right, so that's how we change our different views. Okay, what if you want to do the 4 views, and let's say you didn't feel like clicking tilde because you have a tablet-based computer and you don't have a keyboard? We can still change it based on our viewport menu. So if I go to view up here, okay, and then I go to viewpoint, here it is. So if I change this to front, there we go. It's just longer because you got to click that, viewpoint, right, okay, but it's exact same thing. Okay, all right, so next, if I go to viewpoint, where is that? View region. Let's not mess with that yet. Area, sorry, it's right here. So view, area, toggle quad view. If you click this, you get 4 views. So typical of 3ds Max. So if you have that front, that's your top right, and then this one, let's say you want it to be your left side, you can press Control 3 here. Okay. Oops, sorry, not that one. Mouse right here. So oh, active view. Gotcha. So this is the active view. It used to be, why? Because I barely use this. I thought it was down here. Okay, so you would do it like this, where this will always be your 3D viewport, and you always have access to this. This is actually quite useful if you're just a beginner, so you can keep track of your position, okay, of your object. And to do that, view, area, toggle, quad view. Okay, when you want to go back to full screen, you simply click this and you go back to this. All right, so I won't be using the quad view because it's harder to see on multiple monitors. I mean on video, where those viewport becomes they become kind of small. Okay, so I'll be sticking to this one. But if you want to work with that, we have other lessons where I actually switch to that. But area, toggle, quad view. Okay, so this is your way to kind of be a little bit more precise. Okay, so this is our viewport, camera viewport lesson, where you can change it. So to recap, you can do numpad, you can do alphanumeric number at the top, 1 through 0. If you go to preference and emulate numpad, you can also do the keyboard shortcut tilde, okay, for your radial menu. And last one, you can go to view, navigation, viewpoint, and select which one. Okay, and then you can also switch to toggle quad view if you go to view all the way to area, down to toggle quad view.